Like we know the truth about love, which the love is an ancient mystery, and it's a thing that you cannot quantify no matter how hard you try. And I would describe it as being struck by lightning.
The tale-old question we ask ourselves: marry for love or marry for money? Which one would you rather do? The reality of today's time is that money and love have become so closely intertwined it almost seems like they evoke the same reaction from a person. I mean, there's literally a whole romance trope called millionaire boyfriend. Like, girl, come on. In today's time, it seems that more and more aspects of our lives are becoming a commodity. Our food, our water, our time, even our dating lives. The idea of commodifying the person, not just any person, but the one for you. How many times have you fantasized about your perfect person? You probably thought about their hair, the color of their eyes, their height, maybe even their occupation. As we enter this stage of capitalism, we see that social media and society in general form a measure of attractiveness for both women and men. On a scale of 1 to 10, how attractive do you think you are? We have found a way to quantify our own attractiveness as well as the attractiveness of others based on these imaginary lines of approval. So when it comes to dating, we almost create a profile for the person of our dreams and walk throughout life hoping that one day, just one day, we'll meet the person who checks off all our boxes. The Materialist has an interesting take on the conversation of choosing love or money. Can you have both, or is it either or? Lucy, our protagonist, is a high-end New York matchmaker. Not gonna lie, when I found out that this was an actual thing, I was so surprised, but then again, we literally have apps using algorithms to suggest you the next possible love of your life, so having a person do it for you shouldn't really be that foreign of a concept. Anyways, Lucy is a successful matchmaker in New York, so successful that she in fact was celebrating her 9th marriage. 9 couples. Pretty impressive, especially in today's dating world. Jokes aside, Lucy takes her job really seriously. She enjoys what she does, and you can tell she gets a rush from matching people. Her character gives very cool and classy, almost admirably nonchalant. She knows she's that girl, but she doesn't really have to do or say anything to affirm it. Her work does it for her. After successfully matching these 2 individuals, Lucy goes to their wedding where she runs into a very classy, very popular, and very chic man named Harry, played by one of my favorite people, Pedro Pascal. We love this man over here, and if you don't, what's going on, girl? Harry is in fact the groom's brother. He's tall, pretty handsome, and hella wealthy. A unicorn, in the words of Lucy. Anyways, during the interactions between these 2 characters, we see a glimpse of a flame attempting to light up. They both bounce off of each other. It honestly very much feels like they're the only 2 people in the room. Like any successful businesswoman on the hustle, Lucy sees Harry as an investment. She affirms that if his brother was able to benefit from her services, maybe he would as well. Lucy points out Harry's quantifiable features and alludes to the idea that his value in the dating world is pretty high up there. Harry, however, pays no mind to this conversation and in fact tells Lucy that he'd rather date her. After some time, they plan to order drinks. "What do you like to drink?" says Harry. "Beer and a Coke," says Lucy. As soon as she says that, a hand comes into the frame, almost disrupting the atmosphere that has been building for both Lucy and Harry. All that tension, gone. That random hand in the frame, yup, that's her ex-boyfriend. Chris Evans plays the second male lead, Lucy's ex, John. John is an aspiring theater actor who takes on side jobs like catering weddings to bring in some extra cash. He's easy on the eye, seems like a sweet and comforting guy, but has one prickly little feature. He's BROKE. Yup. On one side, you have the unicorn of the dating market who piques your interest and could offer you a life filled with luxury. And on the other side, you have your ex-boyfriend who, despite the negative balance in his checking account, still pulls at your heart. On paper, it's obvious who Lucy should pick. But when has love ever been predictable? Love as we know it is an inexplainable, almost involuntary emotion and experience. It is an uncontrollable force that selfishly pushes against all sense and reasoning. I mean, there's a reason enemies to lovers is a thing. Also, the idea of forbidden love. Come on, Romeo and Juliet, let's be for real. The most powerful and impactful love stories are those that truly don't have a voice of reason. The funny thing is that this film has a funny way of calling us out. In a way, the film The Materialists exposes human naivety as we try to believe that we can truly manipulate who we'll fall in love with. Look, I don't blame anyone. We spend so much time with ourselves, we obviously know what we want in a person. The discussion of the ideal type has been so normalized, it's kind of hard to believe that someone wouldn't have one. But what if despite having such a hard idea of who your dream partner were to be, your heart pulled you in another direction? The film The Materialists forces us to put ourselves in a situation in which we are stuck between 2 possibilities that both have their pros and cons. I mean, when first being introduced to Harry, I was pretty much ready to marry the man myself. The thing is that throughout the whole film, there's a resistance to the idea of both Lucy and Harry being together. I mean, they go on fancy dates, he brings her flowers, and treats her really well. We love it. But for Lucy, there's something that isn't convincing her. This is where we remember her psyche. Lucy sees love as a numbers game, an equation. When she pictures herself with Harry, it doesn't make sense. Her salary is below his, she doesn't come from a big, happy, rich family. She even brings up the fact that if he wanted to, he could literally get a girl that is in her 20s. Way to bum yourself down, Lucy, Jesus. Personally, I felt that throughout the film, despite the romantic development between the two, there was definitely still a degree of separation, one that Lucy kept. On the other hand, her relationship with John was one of history, kind of like two familiar souls finding each other once again. It seemed that both of them still had love for each other, but there was something that pulled them apart, something that almost seems invisible. We don't get to know what pulls them apart until a flashback occurs. During the flashback, Lucy and John are driving and looking for parking on the streets of New York. Through the stress of late fees and parking tickets, you can see that the thing that drove them apart was nothing else but money problems. Breaking up with someone because they're broke, not gonna lie, it's something that isn't unheard of these days. When this was revealed, it made me feel like a little bad for them. Like, damn, it kinda sucks. You can love someone, but what drives you apart isn't them, but rather the amount of numbers in their checking account. Something so minuscule yet so influential in today's society. Money is power in every way, especially when choosing who to love. On paper, it was quite obvious who Lucy should have picked. I would be lying if I said I was completely happy with the ending. You literally have a millionaire boyfriend, someone that so many women dream of running into, and yet you don't choose him? Why? As a matchmaker, she understands that as much as marriage and partnership is about how both parties feel about each other, it's also about how much they make sense for each other on paper. It's kind of like you're marketing two products to each other and testing the waters to see if they click. In this film, people are treated as commodities. Those who see that the product matches their demands, chooses them. Simple and easy, just like that. In the beginning of the film, we see a montage of people Lucy interviews for their preferences, and honestly, it kind of sounds like they're making a Sims character out loud. In order to keep the spoilers to a minimum, one of Lucy's clients goes through a really traumatic experience as a result of one of her matches. This traumatic experience completely derails Lucy's concept of love and partnership. In her head, she couldn't understand how someone who was so perfect for her client on paper could be capable of acting that way towards his projected perfect match. This is when Lucy and the viewer are both forced to reflect on how well we can know a person from their quantifiable features. Height, weight, amount of hair on their head, none of these are internal features. With that being said, I believe the film challenges the narrative we have around love and dating in today's time. We treat people as products and believe that by having them match our requirements, we'll instantly fall in love with them. However, love isn't like that. In the film, Lucy tells John that despite her loving him, all she can see in her future is them fighting over how expensive things are. The reality of it is that because we live in a society where value is placed on everything, it is really easy to see how the person we love could impact our lives. In my opinion, we attempt to control who we love to try and get as close to our perfect life as possible, because it would make our lives easier. In the beginning of the film, there are a few short scenes showing two cave people who are obviously in love and seem to be a couple. Towards the end of the film, we see the man put a ring made out of a flower on the woman. I guess in a way, this was supposed to represent the first marriage. During this first marriage, there was no conversation about height, weight, money, background, just pure love. It made me question, if we didn't have to worry about money, how many people would fall in love just because they felt this inexplicable feeling towards a person? A person wouldn't have to make sense for you to bat an eye in their direction. I think the film really made me think about how in society, love seems to be punished by the circumstances of the material world. Marriages nowadays, as much as it is for love, they also have to make sense on paper. Lucy couldn't deny her feelings for John, nor could she force herself to have feelings for Harry. I've heard many people say that this film is broke boy propaganda, which to be honest, I don't blame anyone for thinking that, cause not gonna lie, I can low-key see it. But I wanted to approach this film analysis through another lens. The film makes the viewer question and put themselves in a situation that could very much, and probably does happen more often than we think. Money or love? In this case, love. Is it fair that we have to choose one or the other? And why is it that if we choose love, we are seemingly punished for it? Imagine what a world would look like if people just fell in love with people, solely based on the relentless and uncontrollable feeling in their heart without worrying how many boxes they check.